This video is for you if you're an adult child of divorce, as I am. And I have a bit of advice that I would give you if I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings. So if you're feeling a little bit vulnerable, today might not be the day to watch this video. But if you'd like to hear some perspective and some hard truths, then get ready. There's this idea that divorce is a sad, unfortunate thing that happens. And if it happens to children, there will be a time of difficulty, pain, and struggle while they adjust to the new reality. And then they will simply move forward into their new life, forgetting what was in the past and excited about what's to come. But for many of us, this isn't our experience at all. But actually, that's the topic of another video. So I'm going to carry on with some advice to give to you, adult child of divorce. If you're at a point where you're wanting to find some healing and you want to move forward in your journey. The first thing I would say is that pretending that your parents' breakup wasn't a big deal and isn't still impacting you is not going to help you. There are definitely reasons why people want to downplay, ignore, gloss over, or forget about their parents' breakup. But until you can admit that your parents' breakup had an impact on you, that something changed, that there was loss, grief, pain, anger, and so on, you're not going to be able to heal and move forward. The second thing I would say is that refusing to go to therapy or counseling is actually getting in the way of your ability to move forward. Now, I get it. I was not excited to go to therapy and I resisted it for a long time. I didn't have a lot of friends or family members who had been to therapy, who talked about it, and who saw it as something positive and helpful. So in my mind, going to therapy was admitting that there was something wrong with me. It was saying I was weak or I was broken or that I wasn't strong enough or smart enough or competent enough to deal with my issues on my own. I didn't understand that therapy was actually a gift to me and that it could help me and that it takes a lot of strength and courage to sit down with a stranger and talk about the difficult parts of your life. I also didn't realize that therapy is one step on a healing journey. It's not the only thing that's going to help, and it's not reserved for especially difficult cases. Therapy can actually give you skills and equip you to deal with challenges, not just related to your parents' divorce, but with many other parts of your life. The third thing I'd say is that the idea that you can just outgrow the pain of your parents' breakup isn't going to work. I think it's really normal for children to think that once they're finally out of their parents' home, they have their own job, their own career, their own apartment, can make their own choices, then all of the struggles and pain that they have will simply go away. It's normal to blame our circumstances for the struggles and the challenges that we face. But what I've realized over time is that you can take the girl out of the divorced home, but you don't take the divorced home out of the girl. What I mean is that the habits, the attitudes, the patterns, the systems that exist in our family become part of us. We internalize them and they become part of the way that we see the world, including ourselves and other people. And when I moved out of my dad's house, I took all of those attitudes and thoughts with me into my next place that I lived. The next thing I would say is that numbing yourself through busyness, through shopping, through relationships, through food, or anything else is not going to solve your problem. It's really easy to think that if your life is just full and busy, even full and busy with wonderful, meaningful, important things, that you won't have any time left to think about or have to deal with the difficult parts of your life. But our pains and our struggles, especially the ones we haven't dealt with, are very creative at finding other ways to get our attention if we're not willing to look them in the face and deal with them directly. As Brené Brown explains, we can't selectively numb our emotions. So when we try to downplay or numb our sadness, our grief, our loss, or our anger, the only way to do that is by numbing all of our emotions. And that includes joy, connection, love, hope, and so on. Another thing I would say is that if you're focusing all of your energy on trying to keep your family members happy, that will get in the way of you building the life that you want. It is possible for you to be so wrapped up in trying to keep your mom happy, your dad happy, keep your family together, be there for your siblings, that you end up neglecting your own friendships and building a healthy network of friends. You are an adult now, and you do not have to spend every holiday, Christmas, birthday with your parents. Your family members are responsible for their own friendships, emotional life, and their own networks. The next thing I'd say is that wanting to be married and wanting to stay married are not the same as learning the skills you need for a healthy relationship. When you've grown up with divorced or separated parents, it's easy to say, I don't want a bad relationship. I want a strong, healthy, lasting marriage. But simply wanting that doesn't mean that you know how to have a healthy relationship. This means you're going to have to work on your inner world. You're going to have to get to the root of your issues, and you're going to have to learn some new skills, because stubbornness alone is not enough for a healthy marriage. The next bit of advice I'd give is to look at your friendship group and ask yourself if your friends are helping you to grow and become the kind of person that you want to be. You need to surround yourself with other people who are doing the inner work, who are willing to talk vulnerably and openly about their own struggles and challenges, who will encourage you to make healthy choices. Another piece of advice is that giving up on friendships or romance simply because you're afraid of being hurt is not going to help you in the long run. There was definitely a time in my life where I felt that being closed, being independent, not needing anybody, and keeping my relationships at a very surface level was the safest and best way to live. Maybe you can relate to that. All of us have been made for deep connection, friendship, and belonging. This is a basic human need. Without it, we cannot thrive. In my life, I found a relationship with God through Jesus to be that place of stability, security, love, and belonging. And I absolutely recommend that to you. But if you're tempted to forget about the idea of friendship and love, simply because it feels too risky, my advice would be don't give up so easily. You are worthy of love and you deserve so much more. The next thing I would point out is that there are some skills in your life that you developed as a child that really helped you during that part of your life. But now those same skills are getting in the way of the life that you want. And you have the opportunity to make some changes. For example, you may be incredibly hardworking, resilient, a perfectionist, a people pleaser, incredibly responsible, be committed to positivity, gratitude, and optimism. You may prioritize other people's needs before your own. There's no doubt that some of these skills were a huge gift to you and other people in your life during your childhood, but they may not be serving you as well anymore, and you may want to change some of them. Another piece of advice I would give you, if I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings, was that a romantic relationship is not going to fix you. Romance, love, and intimacy do not make your problems go away. They don't cover over your insecurities. They don't erase your feelings of rejection. If anything, close relationships simply put a spotlight on those areas of vulnerability and weakness. I'm not saying you have to wait until you're completely healed and perfect before you start a romantic relationship. But going into a romantic relationship expecting that the other person and their love and the way that they treat you is going to make all your pain and fear go away is not realistic. The final piece of advice I'd give you is that holding on to the anger that you feel towards your parents is not going to help you. I'm not suggesting a forgive and forget, leave it all in the past approach. Let's go back to the very beginning of this video. Holding on to that anger and the frustration and the resentment makes you somebody who is bitter, pessimistic, and difficult to be around. Unforgiveness will rob you of joy and hope for the future, as well as an ability to connect with people who are close to you. Forgiveness is only one piece of a very big puzzle when it comes to healing from the pain of your parents' breakup, but it's an important one in the right time, in the right way. If you found this video helpful, then please subscribe to this channel, follow along. I'd love to hear which of these pieces of advice was most timely for you.